Welcome everyone to Clemson's Memorial Stadium. Battle between Georgia Tech and Clemson. A couple of teams separated by just 125 miles down I-85 South. And this is a rivalry that of late has created a lot of familiarity and bred a tremendous amount of contempt. The Clemson players getting set to enter the stadium and present what is arguably the most exciting 25 seconds in all of college football as they pay homage to Howard's Rock. The Tigers coming in at 1-1, ready to touch the rock and perhaps draw some strength, some toughness, and temerity in this time-honored tradition. Expectations for the Tigers and their fans riding extremely high as they open up their ACC schedule against Georgia Tech. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone, to a soggy and wet Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. The season opener in the ACC schedule between Georgia Tech and Clemson. It has been raining for most of the morning and here into the early part of the afternoon, but surely it has not dampened the spirits of the denizens here at Memorial Stadium, a.k.a. Death Valley. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. We're glad you came aboard here to Clemson University. Bob, when you look at Clemson and Georgia Tech, two teams extremely dynamic offensively, averaging 70 points a game between them combined.
Mark, anytime you talk about those kind of numbers and explosive offenses, it always starts with the quarterback. Both Clemson and Georgia Tech have talented quarterbacks. Both are off to fast starts. For Clemson, Willie Simmons, much more of a drop-back, classic-style quarterback than last year's quarterback, Woody Dantzler. What helps him? Tall and talented receivers. 6'5" Kevin Youngblood leads the ACC. 6'4" Derek Hamilton, just as talented. For Georgia Tech, A.J. Suggs, he's off to a terrific start. He has talented receivers. But what makes the difference? He has a balanced offense. Maybe the most interesting story this year in college football, a converted defensive back, Tony Hollings, averaging 150 yards a game offense. If this potential hurricane doesn't slow these offenses down, there's going to be some points on the board today.
All right, Tropical Storm Hannah wreaking havoc here in the northwestern part of the state. Here's a look at the weather graphic. Tropical Storm Hannah is moving ashore today, and it will certainly wreak havoc with the area here with a lot of precipitation. Clemson receiving the opening kick. Derek Hamilton, one of the top kickoff returners in the nation, a year ago fights his way out to the 30-yard line. And let's go downstairs for more with Holly Rowe.
Guys, believe it or not, this is the first time since Tommy Bowden has been coach here at Clemson that it has rained during a game. They are as prepared as possible, though. They removed the 1-foot crown at the center of this field during the spring. They have a 60-inch storm drain on this sand-based field. They also checked in 16 dry balls with the officials. They have more than 200 towels to try to keep the balls dry. We'll see how it affects both offenses today.
All right, Holly, and they're going to line up at the 30-yard line, first down and 10. There's a look at number 7. Willie Simmons, the starting quarterback. Bob spoke about his talents just a few moments ago. 6'1", 200 pounds, out of Quincy, Florida. First and 10, and they spread you out, and they dump it to the back, out of the backfield. That's Yusef Kelly, brought down by Corey Collins, and Rhino also in on the play. Let's take a look at the starting lineup, first of all, for Clemson. They will go with 4 wideouts for most of the day. Curry, Youngblood, Robinson, and Hamilton. A look at your Miller High Life starting lineups. And up front, the offensive line, a bit of a change this week. Tommy Sharp, the walk-on, getting the start at center. Second down, and about 4 to go. Kelly on the handoff. Near the 40. And across the 40 for the first down on the first series for Clemson. And let's take a look at the defense, Bob.
Mark, because of Clemson's spread offense, it forces Georgia Tech to play a nickel defense. 4-down lineman Kieran Cox goes from his regular position linebacker to the defensive front. Only 2 linebackers, Ricardo Wimbush and Darryl Smith, and you notice 5 defensive backs to match up with the spread offense. Kelly Rhino gets the start today as the nickelback.
This could turn into like basketball with shoulder pads today, huh? First down and 10. First series of the ball game for Clemson, and they hand it off to Derek Hamilton. Hamilton out near another first down into Georgia Tech's side of midfield at the 49-yard line, brought down by Fox, but a pickup of close to 10 yards on the play, and it's all about tempo for Clemson. Nice looking run by Derek Hamilton.
Mark, the chess match begins. If you play nickel, play 5 defensive backs, Clemson's going to find out, can you stop the run?
Second down, they're saying 1 to go. Simmons making the call at the line. Keeps it himself on the quarterback sneak and gets the first down. And Bob, the no-huddle offense does some interesting things for you.
Mark, it's the new wave right now in college football, and it was made famous here at Clemson. The reason they go no-huddle, first of all, is to make the defensive football team align. You cannot disguise because they're up at the line of scrimmage. The second thing, Clemson has enough time at the line of scrimmage to check the play from the press box.
It is first down. They bring in number 8, Ty Hill. Runs it into the boundary. He's brought down after a gain of about 1 on the play. The defense
Mark,
forced to adjust.
Maybe the biggest advantage of the no-huddle, it takes the pressure off the quarterback in making the checks at the line of scrimmage. He gets them from the sidelines. All the quarterback has to do is execute. And probably one thing that's overlooked, the defensive football team cannot huddle. So the defensive coordinator has to signal to all 11 defensive players. The offense may get tendencies on his signal as the game progresses.
Get into a little game of espionage at times. They run the reverse to Hamilton. Into the boundary at the 40-yard line, tackled by Kieran Fox, number 54, the linebacker. A gain of about 7 on the play. There's a look at Brad Scott right at the top of your screen.
Mark, it all starts in the press box with Brad Scott. He calls a play. They come to the line of scrimmage, and then it is communicated to the sidelines to Willie Simmons whether or not you run the play or you abort the play and check to another. And you can see the amount of time they spend at the line of scrimmage. It's not a hurry-up offense.
Really simplifies things for Simmons, who almost had it picked off. Kelly out of the backfield, incomplete, and Kelly Rhino almost had 6 coming back the other way. Makes you wonder, with the rain coming down, whether it had an effect on this reception.
Well, Hannah right now may be the 12th man on defense right now. But one thing Tommy Bowden mentioned to us yesterday, Yusef Kelly is a strong, powerful running back, but he does not have the greatest hands. And that was an evidence of it right there.
Win Kopp standing on his own 45-yard line, punting to Kelly Rhino, and a flag down at the line of scrimmage. If it's against Georgia Tech, it would give Clemson a first down.
Offside, on the defense, 5 yards, first down.
One of the advantages of the no-huddle, does it tend to do that for you?
Mark, I don't think right there that is a byproduct of no-huddle. In fact, Georgia Tech was in something you call a safe punt return, expecting a fake. And Tony Hargrave, a converted defensive end playing inside, jumped off and didn't look at the football.
Gives the Tigers a first down and 10, keeping the drive alive. Simmons to Youngblood, who's chopped down right at the line of scrimmage by Marvius Hester. Let's go back to the studio and Steve Levy.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. Nice and dry and warm and comfortable here in the studio. No need for the extra 200 towels you guys are requiring. Trev Alberts and I are hanging out this afternoon, watching games like Miami and Temple, the Big East opener there, Cal and Michigan State. You can see that over on ESPN2. Arkansas State and Illinois. The Illini off to an 0-2 start, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve. We're dry, too, by the way. It's Holly we're worried about. Second down and 11 Kelly running between the tackles that time down to the 33-yard line. Tackled by Darryl Smith, one of the linebackers for the Tech defense. And this is a series, as I mentioned before, that has been extremely competitive. The last 3 games, the average score has been 40-39. In the last 6, the game has been decided by 3 points each.
Mark, I don't know that I've ever heard a statistic like that. 6 straight games decided by 3 points.
And last year it was Georgia Tech snapping Clemson's 4-game winning streak in the series. 3rd down and 7. They go with a 2-back set this time. Line up out of the eye, and Simmons signals for a timeout.
Mark, one of the negative things of all the communication involved in the no huddle, you just saw one of those right there. Clemson substituted their personnel on offense. Georgia Tech at the last second substituted their personnel on defense. Eventually the chess game went back and forth, and they ran out of time on the 25-second clock. So sometimes you can get a little too involved and a little too intricate, and at what point do you just snap the ball and execute the play?
Yeah, there are some coaches who prefer that, hey, you just get up to the line of scrimmage and run whatever you have called. Let's look at Tommy Bowden, the head coach of the Clemson Tigers. He says that for this game, you have to double the stock and what you put into it, because even just one loss this early in the conference schedule can really set you back.
Mark, I'd like to go back on a hit on a point you just made that I think is a very valid point. Right now in college football, we notice there's a lot of checks and a lot of communication going on. Yesterday, visiting with Tommy Bowden, he mentioned that his dad, Bobby Bowden, wants to get up there and snap the ball. And both of us, the moment he mentioned that, we thought back to Joe Paterno, our first game of the year, saying the same thing. Get up there, and even if it's not the best play against the exact defense, let your players play.
Kind of a new school versus old school philosophy involved there. 10th play of the drive for Clemson in a driving rainstorm. They've used up a little over 4.5 minutes on the clock. Kelly on the handoff, brought down at about the 31-yard line. Travis Parker, number 94, up front for Georgia Tech, making the stop. Parker, not a guy that gets a lot of pub up front when you're looking and playing in the shadows of both Gathers and Tony Hargrove. But a nice play there. And it'll be 4th down and 6 to go for Clemson.
That's an amazing shot right there. And all the Clemson players looking over at the coach on the sideline, waiting for Brad Scott's communication.
They're going for it on 4th and 6. Got to get to about the 25-yard line. Simmons, complete. His tight end, Williamson, hung on to it after juggling it. The freshman keeps the drive alive with a 1st down catch.
Mark, the forgotten man. The tight end, Bobby Williamson. We didn't even announce his name in the pregame lineup. I don't think Georgia Tech paid a lot of attention to him either. Big 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, Bob, they've got a couple of good ones in Ben Hall and Williamson. 1st down and 10. Nose of the ball at the 16-yard line. Simmons hands it off to Kelly. Brought down right near the line of scrimmage. If you're wondering about Yusef Kelly, whether it's any relation to Keith Kelly, he changed his name this year because a friend of his came to visit him on campus, looked him up in the campus phone book, couldn't find him, knew him as Yusef, and he said, hey, if my guys can't find me, I got to do something about it. Subsequently, we have Yusef Kelly. 2nd down and 10. What's in the name anyway? The rain really coming down here at Memorial Stadium. A fumble on the exchange, and Simmons is sacked back at the 20-yard line.
Mark, you notice the unrest with the Clemson crowd right there. Clemson starting a walk-on center, Tommy Sharp. To complicate matters, they had 6 quarterback center exchange problems the first game of the year against Georgia and 2 against Louisiana Tech last week. And I know somewhere our friend Bill Curry is watching this game and just shaking his head.
14th play of the drive. There's a look at Sharp, the walk-on getting the start today, instead of Chester, who usually gets that spot. Simmons sets up the screen to Kelly. And Kelly slipped at the 18, falls forward to the 16-yard line. And tonight, folks, at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN, number 5, Florida State, speaking of the ACC, led by quarterback Chris Ricks, will take on Maryland. Terrapins are the defending conference champs, but they have never beaten the Seminoles. It's College Football Saturday Night, presented by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. What about Greg Jones? Man, he is a low, fast and strong for Florida State.
And it was interesting listening to Florida State players. Even though they beat Maryland last year, they considered a payback game to Maryland because Maryland won the ACC.
Aaron Hunt from 33 yards out. Last week he was 4 of 4, and he drills this one right down Main Street. Clemson out of the gate well in the ACC opener, 3-0 when we come back. Well, the water pretty much telling the story here. A couple of teams trying to ride the little river of success hopefully today. Look at the scoring drive by Clemson, using up almost 8 minutes on the clock. But Bob, the one key play, the penalty, right?
Mark, think back. Talk about hidden statistics. Georgia Tech is off the field on 4th and 5, but they jump off sides.
And a short kickoff that's fumbled at the 25. Georgia Tech recovering the loose ball. They will start their offense on the 26-yard line. Starting quarterback is A.J. Suggs, a 6'4", 215-pound junior. Last week went 9 of 14, 136 yards passing against UConn. Got a whistle down on the field. Clemson player is shaken up. Let's take a look at the Miller High Live starting lineups. The backs and receivers for Georgia Tech: Hollings, Dixon, Watkins, Glover, and Fasci. The offensive line, an offensive line that has 3 solid. That much depth when you look at the big picture.
Nat Dorsey last year starts as a true freshman. He is a giant. And last year he had a chance to make a name for himself playing against Julius Peppers from North Carolina and did an outstanding job.
Clemson player shaken up on the play. Number 48, Kelvin Morris. Backup strong safety. Bob, what is the rule regarding the dry balls from a coach's standpoint as they just changed the call?
It's interesting, Mark, and you know one thing. Tommy Bowden being an offensive coach, Shan Gailey being an offensive coach, they're going to have a bunch of dry footballs. You can use as many as you want. You just have to check them in with the official before the game.
First down and 10. Georgia Tech's first offensive series of the night. Suggs airs it out and has his receiver first down at the 42-yard line. Number 9, Kerry Watkins, the leading receiver coming into the game. Here's a look at the defensive front for Clemson. A couple of good ends.
Good ends, and Brian McNeil, they're going to line him up as an end and as a linebacker in a multiple defense.
Linebackers Leak, Thomas, and Sampson. Good experience.
Little deceiving. Eric Sampson, number 38, really is like a strong safety. He'll be involved in deep pass coverage.
That's their best cover corner. Along with Bodrick, Meekins, and Johnson. First down and 10 after that 16-yard pickup. Suggs through the arms of his intended receiver, number 21, Jonathan Smith, the team's leading receiver a season ago.
An interesting statistic. Clemson with the spread offense, you expect a lot of potent passing. Georgia Tech last year led the ACC in pass offense. This is an explosive Georgia Tech offense as well.
Second down and 10. Suggs' numbers on the season so far. Although he hasn't played more than half a game in each of the first 2 contests. Second down and 10. 4 receivers out to the left of Suggs. Incomplete, no flag. It was intended for Glover. Meekins got there and made the hit to break it up. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Guys, right now we can see the rain affecting the passing game for Georgia Tech. The direction they're going on the field is directly into the driving force of the rain. When you look downfield, it's very difficult to keep your head up and your eyes up because the rain's coming down so hard into the face of the quarterback. When Clemson had the ball, their backs were to the rain and it's a little bit easier on their passing game.
All right, Holly, and so far the good news appears to be that the field seems to be holding up. 3rd down and 10. Screen pass. Clinkscale, the 3rd down back coming in, making the catch, but stopped far short of the 1st down. It'll be 4th down. The stop made by Nick Eason, number 98. That arouses the appreciative fans here at Memorial Stadium. Dan Dyke into punt. Setting up at his own 30-yard line. Back deep, it's Derek Hamilton, one of the top returners in the nation a season ago. 4th down and 7. Dyke with a low line drive punt. It won't even make it to the 20-yard line. It'll be down at the 22. Timeout on the field. We'll be back with more right after this.
ESPN's presentation of college football brought to you by Circuit City. We know how you feel. That's why we're here. Circuit City. We're with you.
Clemson with the ball leading 3-0. And Bob, so far, what about the mix of run and pass for Clemson?
It's interesting. Clemson, 9 runs, 5 passes. Georgia Tech, 4 plays, all pass. So there's definitely some different tendencies going on right now. But Georgia Tech in the nickel package, Clemson feels they can run the football a little bit on them.
Hamilton on the handoff, got a seam. Derek Hamilton. Touchdown, Clemson, what a run!
Interesting. Yesterday, Tommy Bowden told us with Woody Dantzler gone, Willie Simmons is not your classic running quarterback. They were going to go ahead and use Hamilton as really the quarterback as the extra ball carrier in the backfield.
Clemson proving that, yes, you can run the football out of the spread. Splash, splash we go. 10-0 when we come back. 10-0, the Tigers leading the Yellow Jackets, and Derek Hamilton with a career-long 77-yard run just a few moments ago. Turning point for him last year was that North Carolina game when he didn't have one of his better efforts and then was able to come back from practice the next week, the subsequent week, and get his career back on track. Another short kickoff. It comes down to the 20. That's Kerry Watkins tackled at the 27-yard line. One more look at that touchdown run.
Mark, this is a great picture of the philosophy of the spread offense. Last year, they would use Woody Dantzler, the quarterback, as the ball carrier, with the tailback as the blocker. Willie Simmons is not the runner Willie Dantzler was. So instead, they go ahead and use Derek Hamilton as the ball carrier, the lead blocker, Yusef Kelly, on the linebacker, and you see that Derek Hamilton is healthy. That was a tremendous run, but that was not the predetermined quarterback run. That was the wide receiver replacing Woody Dantzler.
1st down and 10. Clemson running the ball well on offense. Defensively stopped them on the last drive, and now a nice run. Hollings on the loose. How's that for an answer? Georgia Tech style.
Mark, is it really raining down there? Is the rain slowing these offenses down?
Maybe it's a mirage. 72 yards to pay dirt.
And I go back to Tony Hollings' comment in pregame when the ESPN camera was on him. He said, they don't respect me because I gained my yards against Vanderbilt in Connecticut. He went 72 yards on his first carry in Death Valley.
Had 4 touchdowns against UConn. And if he was looking for a little R-E-S-P-E-C-T, he just got it. A career-long 72-yard gallop by the ACC's leading rusher. It's blocked. The extra point is blocked and snuffed out. Bad snap. And it's no good.
I have to go back on this to one of the phrases we learned early in the year from an assistant coach at Penn State. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. You just see a tremendous effort right here by Tony Hollings, the tailback. He simply just outruns the Clemson defense. A missed tackle right there by their free safety, Eric Meekins, but he shows the breakaway speed he has. Georgia Tech's coaches told us he is sub 4.4 in the 40 mark. He just made me a believer.
Well, Bob, that's faster than gossip right there. Tony Hollings, not a bad running back for an old free safety, backup free safety, and boy, they really snatched back some of the momentum, which seemed to be swinging big time in favor of Clemson. As I mentioned, 4 touchdown runs last week against UConn, adding to his total just a few moments ago.
And you know, you would think that Georgia Tech's coaches would like to take credit for a great strategic move of moving Tony Hollings from defensive back to running back. But in reality, Tony Hollings went in, and it was his idea. And they weren't sure it was going to work. They were skeptical of it. So Tony Hollings, not only a great player, he had the foresight to say, hey, give me the football.
There's a look at the first-year head coach. Chan Gailey named the 11th head coach in the school's history, December 29th of 2001. A coach that is known for his offensive prowess. Former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, now at the helm with Georgia Tech. A squib kick that comes to Hamilton at the 4. Hamilton brought down at the 22. Hey, Steve Levy, we got a lot going on here.
And Mark, a lot going on elsewhere. Miami missed a field goal early, then had a 7-0 lead. Temple fumbled the kickoff. Miami gets it back. Ken Dorsey to Kevin Beard for the touchdown. It's now 14-zip in favor of the Hurricanes. Elsewhere, Cal is on the board in East Lansing. Jameel Powell, a 90-yard punt return. Big day in the Big Ten. Not so far for Michigan State. Back to Mark and Bob.
It is a huge day for the Big Ten. Michigan, Penn State, also with key games today. First down and 10. Ball at the 21-yard line. They run it to Ty Hill. Gains a couple of yards. Let's go downstairs to, I hope Holly's dry down there. Holly?
Not dry, but I've got some good information for you. Chan Gailey from Georgia Tech had just arrived, just gotten the job at Georgia Tech. When Tony Hollings asked to set up a meeting on offense, he didn't even see any video of the kid. He didn't know if he could play or not, but he said, I just had faith that if it was his idea, he would give it his all. He certainly has so far today.
He sure has, and you have to look highly upon Gailey. Incomplete pass at the 20-yard line. You have to like the philosophy of Gailey, who's willing to make the change.
I do. Showing that picture of Chan Gailey on the sidelines, though, I know exactly what he's thinking. He's thinking right now, you know, it's early in the game, that missed extra point opportunity. Because how many times in this profession do those things come back and bite you?
Third down and 9. Hill, the lone back. Right beside Willie Simmons. 4 receivers out on the play. Simmons flushed out. First down complete to number 83, Tony Elliott at the 43-yard line. Simmons able to move out of the pocket and make a play, Bob.
Willie Simmons just answered some questions. Can he throw on the run when he gets out of the pocket? He struggled against Georgia in the opening game, threw an interception on the run, threw some bad balls on the run. It looks like he's improved in that area of the game. That was a big completion on the run for Willie Simmons.
Sets up a first down and 10 at the 43. Simmons sat in the pocket and fired incomplete at the 47, intended for Jackie Robinson.
This gives you an idea of the troubles Willie Simmons had. Georgia actually invited him to take off and run with the football. Here you see an interception in the end zone, and you're going to see 2 other opportunities where he had a chance to make a play on the run, but he didn't.
One thing about Simmons so far in this early part of the season, he has really embraced the challenge of being in the spotlight as a starting quarterback. He says, frankly, quote, that's why I play the position. Hands it off this time. Out to the 48-yard line is Ty Hill. you hear the music. It only means one thing. Sunday night football, Oakland against Pittsburgh, 7:30 Eastern time. Starts with NFL Prime Time, presented by Miller Lite at 7:30. And man, you think back through the years of the great matchups and great games between those two franchises.
Franco Harris,
yeah.
the immaculate reception.
Amongst others. Simmons complete to Jackie Robinson, who came back to the ball nicely at the 40-yard line. A 12-yard pickup.
Willie Simmons once again 2 for 2 on the run. One of the most difficult things for a secondary is to maintain coverage when the quarterback is about to break, contain, and run with the football. It's almost impossible. So give credit to Willie Simmons improving his game. A mobile quarterback that can throw is very difficult to defend.
So many dimensions. First down and 10. Hill stopped up behind the line of scrimmage at the 41 by number 41, Kelly Rhino and Ricardo Wimbush. Number 41, a guy to watch. He is, well, a real-life Rudy in many sorts at 5'7".
He's something. All-time Georgia Tech leading punt returner. He is the nickelback. He doesn't look like your typical nickelback that you bring in pass defense, but the Georgia Tech coaches can't keep him off the field.
And a treat on special teams, too. Here's Simmons rolling out. Tiptoes out of bounds at the 38-yard line. It'll be third down and long to go for Clemson. Their drives so far have been very time-consuming. Used up almost 8 minutes on the clock on their first scoring drive, a field goal.
Once again, a misconception of the spread no-huddle offense, that it's a hurry-up, catch-up, 2-minute offense. It's not. It's actually a ball control style because they take the clock down to 1 second left on a 25-second clock before they snap the football. Here's a good picture of it right here.
Well, you mentioned ball control. This is the 9th play of the Clemson drive. Ball at the 39. A blitz coming. Picked up but dropped by Ty Hill out of the backfield.
Bernard Lambert, their starting tailback, has been out. Yusef Kelly and Ty Hill both struggle as young running backs with catching the football. That takes away a dimension of Tommy Bowden's offense right now. That's the second drop today by a running back.
Yeah, Rembert has a little tendonitis in his foot. We're hoping to have him back soon. There's a look at Rhino, back standing on his own 10-yard line. Win Kopp, the 5'9" senior, punting from midfield. The lefty hangs it up high. Trying to place it inside the 10, and it does, but it bounces into the end zone. Let's go back to Steve Levy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. Northern Illinois more than just hanging around this afternoon early at Camp Randall. Already with a 3-0 lead. Here's Travis Moore bringing Brooks Bollinger down to the turf. Again, 3-0 Wisconsin trailing in the first quarter. Also, John Butcher, the new starting quarterback for Illinois, has a touchdown pass to Walter Young, guys.
All right, 2:36 left, and look at the difference, Bob, in time of possession.
Mark, not to beat a dead horse, but think back to 4th and 4 on the punt situation when Georgia Tech jumped off sides. Plus, it's deceiving. Tony Hollings went over 70 yards his first carry for a touchdown. They scored too quick.
First down and 10. Is there really such a thing? That's lining up out of the eye. Draw play to Hollings. Hollings brought down at the 18-yard line by Donnell Washington. 2 years ago, another close battle between these two teams. This was the game-winning play. Watkins with a one-handed, left-handed grab. Look at that. A magical catch, and Tech won the game 31-28. Something that's still stuck in the craw of many Clemson players. Watson, the second leading receiver in school history, behind only Kelly Campbell. 2nd and 10. Suggs on the move. Pushed out of bounds at the 22 by Nick Eason.
Bit interesting. Defensive coordinators, different philosophies. You notice there, Georgia Tech in a spread offense with 4 wide receivers, very similar to Clemson. But Clemson's defensive coordinator, John Lovett, chooses to play his regular defense. He doesn't play a nickel package. He doesn't play a dime package. He wants his best players on the field. He does not want a substitute.
There's Lovett in the...
He has done an excellent job since coming to Clemson from Auburn.
3rd down and 8. Empty formation, 5 receivers out on the play. Suggs got it off as he was brought down. But that swarming Clemson defense tackles Clinksdale. And it'll be 4th down and long. The defense rising to the occasion.
You're going to see a great job right here of maximum coverage by Clemson. You don't see the picture, but they only rushed 3 people. That is what you call a coverage sack. There was nowhere for A.J. Suggs to throw the football.
Boy, Nick Eason has been real busy so far, hasn't he? There's a look at Hamilton. Derek Hamilton. High snap, but brought down by Dank, and he gets off a pretty good kick. Hamilton fumbles it and recovered it at the 35-yard line. Boy, Steve Levy, it's adventurous today in the rain. Back to you.
Mark, we're checking in on Cal and Michigan State. Cal already had a 7-0 lead, but here come the Spartans. Jeff Smoker, the Charles Rogers, nice grab. He's down at the 1. Really needed that extra yard. They had 1st and goal at the 1. 2 plays later, DeJuan Moss fumbled the pitch, turning it over.
Those ones really sting. Back here, 1st down and 10.
You think Charles Rogers is the best receiver in the country?
I would say so. I would say so. Great combination with him and Smoker. And Simmons hooking up with Big Ben Hall, the tight end, the talented sophomore. You know what? We want to send a quick hello to the men and women of the 1st Battalion 228th Aviation Regiment stationed out of Soto Cano Air Base in Honduras. They're watching us right now on the American Forces Network, and we appreciate everything that they do. Fellows and ladies, thank you for protecting our interests, both at home and abroad. 2nd down and 2. 2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, a single back set. And Ty Hill puts it on the ground. It's a fumble. And Georgia Tech has got the ball. We have seen several fumbles already today. Marvius Hester, number 28, right there, 29, made the hit.
Well, once again, young running backs getting their opportunity to play. They have to protect the football. That fumble right there wasn't caused by Hannah. That one was caused by Ricardo Winbush. Georgia Tech does a great job of scrambling in there and recovering that fumble. Number 29, Marvius Hester. There were no excuses on that one. He just did not protect that football.
1st down and 10. See if the Yellow Jackets can respond and take advantage of the opportunity. Hollings cutting back nicely down to the 45-yard line. Brought down by Eric Meekins, the free safety. This Clemson defense leading the ACC in rush defense so far this season. Well, the first 15 minutes in the rain are in the books. We'll be back with the 2nd period right after this. Clemson with a 4-point lead as we get start to begin the 2nd period of play here at Memorial Stadium, a.k.a. Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe down on the sidelines. Suggs back to pass, going up top. And it's incomplete. Intended for number 3, Will Glover. Good coverage by Brian Mance.
Brian Mance is their best coverage corner. Also a great punt returner. So he's an exciting football player.
Clemson defense, as I mentioned a few moments ago, tops in the nation in run defense. 3rd down and 4 now for Georgia Tech. Ball at the 45. Another empty formation. 5 receivers, 3 to the bottom, 2 to the top of your screen. Suggs off the hands of his usually sure-handed receiver, Glover. And it'll be 4th down. Bob, are you surprised that Georgia Tech earlier didn't give you a steady diet of Hollings, and more Hollings?
Mark, I am, because first of all, the weather conditions. Second of all, establishing a run against the Clemson defense that really has played two passing teams in Georgia and Louisiana Tech. But I think you're going to see a steady dose of 24 here before long.
And Georgia Tech really hasn't shown its cards in the two games so far. Bounces into 12 and a nice punt. And poor special teams work on that 45-yard punt. Dyke can't believe it. Albert Pourri, number 1, should have known where the goal line was and down it before it entered the goal line.
Mark, that's a major mistake right there. You have a defensive cornerback who's on the punt team that did not have awareness of where the goal line was. He actually stepped into the end zone, so it was obvious that he was a little bit disoriented on the field.
It's not every day that a punter like Dyke gets to really place one down by the goal line like that either.
And all punters and kickers are worried about those stats. So that hurts his stats on down it inside the 10.
Kills the average some. Simmons at the helm, 7 of 11 passing for 63 yards. And now late substitution, Ty Hill coming on. And they are forced to call a timeout. Let's take a look at our ESPN game track. So far the game characterized by a few fumbles and maybe some result of the weather, maybe not. 13 points though in 13 seconds. The first one coming on this 77-yard scamper by Derek Hamilton. But just a few moments later, Tony Hollings using that 4.3 speed, giving Clemson an education and acceleration, pulling away from the pack, and taking off into the end zone.
I think you see a combination of bad weather, but also great athletes. There's been some mistakes, there's been some fumbles, some drop passes, but there's also been some big home runs and big explosions in this football game. But once again, and this is not just coach speak, this is how coaches think. Think back to the offsides by Georgia Tech on 4th down, allowed Clemson to score, and don't forget the missed extra point opportunity by Georgia Tech.
In the big picture, Bob, a lot of exciting things happening for Clemson as well as for Georgia Tech. They've had a run of success recently, and back in Atlanta, Bobby Dobbs Stadium being expanded. Capacity right now is a little over 43,000, and pretty soon it's going to be up to 55,000. They're using a $70 million budget to expand that facility. Really doing a good job there.
5 straight bowl games, Georgia Tech. And give George O'Leary a lot of credit. I was with their athletic director this morning, Dave Brain. George O'Leary deserves and gets a lot of the credit for that program being as strong as it is right now.
Well said. Up top, incomplete. McKelvey couldn't come down with it, and he was being blanketed there on the cover by Jonathan Cox.
We talked about in the early part of the game the height of Clemson receivers. Here is J.J. McKelvey at 6'4", going up against Jonathan Cox at 5'11". 6'4". 6'4" will beat a 5'11" guy anytime. That's simple. That time he didn't go up and make the play. Give Jonathan Cox credit for going up and getting his hands on that football.
Sets up a 2nd down and 10. Little screen pass from right back to McKelvey. He made the catch this time out near the 30-yard line.
What I like right here is the play calling by Brad Scott and Tommy Bowden. J.J. McKelvey just had an opportunity to make a catch. He didn't, but you come right back to him and you get him some confidence. Clemson loves those little short flanker screens into the boundary.
They love those big receivers, as you mentioned. 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", and 6'5" Youngblood. 3rd down and 2. They're 2 of 6 in 3rd down situations today. Kelly got the 1st down, muscling his way over the 30-yard line. Yusef Kelly. You can hear the fans with an appreciative chant of "you." 1st down and 10 now for Clemson. Here on Hall of Fame weekend at Clemson University, a special time here for the athletic alumni.
Mark, you see something developing as Clemson substitutes and brings in tight ends. Georgia Tech is substituting from the sidelines. Watch as this game progresses. Clemson may quick snap and catch them with too many men on the field.
There's Kelly, got a bigger seam this time, and another 1st down. or close to a first down at the 42. Myers making the stop.
Yusef Kelly again on the simple zone play, breaks it out to the outside. Jeremy Myers has to come up from the secondary, really makes a nice tackle, but you don't want your safety coming up when you're only playing a 7-man front, making those kind of stops for a 10-yard gain.
Yeah, interesting that offensive line as well for Clemson, getting a little bigger and more athletic than it was a year ago at this time. First down and 10. Kelly stopped up at the 45-yard line. Good surge up front, led by Fox. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Guys, in case you were wondering, it is still continuing to rain down here on the sideline. With all the new technology in football with equipment and sideline equipment, the bag that they were using to keep the balls dry was not waterproof. And so we've gone to the old-fashioned black garbage sack to keep the balls dry here at Clemson.
Got to get one of those hefty garbage bags.
Tommy Bowden will get that straight because he wants those dry footballs.
You got to find a little bit of money in the budget for that, you would think. Second down and 8. Simmons. Well, they didn't draw it up that way, but Kelly made the reception. It was stopped up at the 46-yard line. Let's go to Steve Levy for an SEC update.
Mark, thank you. Vandy and Auburn. Carlos Dansby causes the turnover, hitting Jay Cutler. Not only that, he recovers in the end zone for the touchdown. Auburn the 7-0 lead, and Miami no problem in the first half. Right, and of course, Georgia Tech defeated Vandy in their first game of the season. Third down and 7 for Simmons in the offense. Open over the middle. Ben Hall, the big tight end, stopped up just apparently shy of the first down marker. In his first year, Hall set a school freshman record for touchdown receptions. There's a look at him, number 87.
They are really high on Ben Hall. The only problem, he had some busted assignments against Louisiana Tech, and that's why I think you see Bobby Williamson, number 81, getting some playing time.
They got good depth at that position, Bob. Fourth down. And 1 to go. Today, Clemson is 1 for 1 in fourth down situations. And we have a timeout on the field. Time to think about it. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back, everyone, to Clemson's Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina. Georgia Tech against the Tigers. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Fourth down and short. A look at the total yardage discrepancy. Clemson winning the battle right there by over 100 yards. But just up 4 on the scoreboard. Win Kopp into punt, standing at his own 40. Kelly Rhino standing on his 15. Flag down, Rhino down at the 21-yard line. Apparently a violation of that halo around the punt returner. A 33-yard boot by Win Kopp.
The halo rule this year, Mark, a 10-yard penalty instead of a 5-yard penalty.
Boy, that's close.
This really puts you at a disadvantage, particularly against a returner like Kelly Rhino, who is fearless back there and never fair catches. I don't like that rule. I think it puts the defensive team, particularly those gunners running down, at such a disadvantage. I'd like to see him go back to the old rule where you put all the onus on the returner. He either fair catches it. If he doesn't fair catch it, anything goes, and let him make the decision. There's too much pressure on these officials to make that call.
Right. First down and 10. Backs lining up out of the offset eye. Hollings breaking into the perimeter, and a nice tackle on the corner by Brian Mance. Boy, did he come up and stick Hollings.
I think you see again the speed of Tony Hollings. It's obvious he is going to take the football outside if you give him the opportunity. It was interesting talking to the Tech's coaches. He made them a big fan in the spring. They scrimmaged in the Georgia Dome. He took one about 60 yards against their defense. And they said from that point on, they knew they had a speed demon back there at tailback.
And he was a man. Second down and 6. Here he is again. Hollings powering between the tackles over the right side of the offensive line. And let's go back to Steve Levy. Steve?
Okay, Mark, thank you. Cal and Michigan State, Spartans' second time already today. They've turned it over inside the red zone. Jeff Smoker is picked at the 1 by James Bethea. And Cal still leading 7-0.
Bob, is there anything worse for a coach than to see that?
Particularly with an experienced quarterback like Jeff Smoker. He normally does not make those kind of mistakes.
Georgia Tech is 0 for 3 on third down situations today. Watkins in motion. Little counter. And Hollings right at the first down marker at the 36-yard line. Hollings has come a long way as a running back. Harken back to 3 weeks ago against Vandy. He said he was so uptight before the Vanderbilt game that he didn't get to sleep until 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
The thing that's so impressive, he is 220 pounds with that kind of sub 4.4 speed. That's a unique package right there. That kind of speed and that kind of strength.
And reflective, as you mentioned, of the recruiting they've been doing and the type of talent they've been getting in Atlanta, Georgia Tech over the last few years. First down as Hollings got the job done. Let's look at Chan Gailey. His appeal as a recruiter, he's a real kind of aw shucks type of guy, very fatherly, avuncular, and he can get people to Atlanta. Real offensive innovator as a head coach. First down and 10. Hollings diving forward to the 39-yard line. Got about 4 on the play. Tonight at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. Number 5, Florida State, led by quarterback Chris Ricks and Greg Jones, taking on the Terps, who have never beaten Florida State. It's college football Saturday night, presented by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. And there's a look at Florida State. Man, they still dominate that conference.
That was a great picture yesterday in Tommy Bowden's office of all the Bowdens, all the brothers, all the in-laws.
Good-looking family. Second down and 7. Incomplete and almost picked off. Intended for Watkins. Went right through his arms. He has 18 career touchdown catches, but missed this one. And it is third down and 7. They come with an empty formation, 5 receivers.
Trying to make Clemson's linebackers have to play pass coverage.
Suggs found his man in the seam. A well-thrown ball went right back to Watkins, undaunted. And a first down for Georgia Tech. A pickup of 16.
Anytime you decide to play zone coverage, there is going to be seams in the middle of that defense. There you see Kerry Watkins down the seam. The linebacker didn't carry him into too deep coverage. And once again, come back to Kerry Watkins after a drop. You have to get him going. You have to get his confidence back. Great play call right there by Bill O'Brien.
The senior, a real big game performer for Georgia Tech. Just ask Clemson. They know. Jonathan Smith in motion. Hollings, good balance, falling forward to the 39-yard line. Hollings, 8 rushes today, well over 90 yards now.
Once again, you see the strength of Tony Hollings, but that really is a remarkable story, isn't it, Mark? Of being a defensive back, going to the head coach and asking if you can move the running back in the spring, and then jumping up and being one of the surprise stories in college football this year.
Come a long way since getting hit in the mouth in Pop Warner football and wanting to quit as a 5-year-old.
One thing, you're not going to get him to move back to defense. He's having too much fun and getting too much publicity right now.
No doubt. No doubt. Here he is again. Into the boundary, turns the corner, but just tripped up at the 35, and he had a whole bunch of real estate ahead of him. He smelled that end zone, Bob.
You're going to see an excellent run by Tony Hollings, but also Jonathan Smith coming in and getting just enough of a block on the true freshman corner from Clemson. And once again, Tony Hollings almost takes that thing to the house. But give credit to Jonathan Smith coming in and getting a block on Miller, the freshman corner from Clemson.
First down and 10.
We talked earlier, would they give you a steady dose of Tony Hollings? I think we're seeing that now, Mark.
Yeah, force feeding Clemson. Suggs under pressure, threw it away. And a flag down on the play. It's all about being inside that tackle box.
Intentional grounding on the offense. That's a loss of down. Spot of the foul. Second down.
Well, he threw it away a little too eagerly that time. You know, Chan Gailey's quarterback, though, has surprisingly good mobility, something we've seen so far, except on that last play we didn't.
And you talk about paying your dues. We talked about Willie Simmons sitting behind Woodrow Dantzler. How about A.J. Suggs going to Tennessee, playing for Tennessee, throwing for over 300 yards against LSU, then transferring and sitting out last year. He's paid his dues as well, and both of them are taking advantage of the opportunities they now have to be the starting quarterback.
I'm going to ask you about transfers in just a moment after this play. Second down and 27 now for Georgia Tech. Complete. Out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Complete to Fauci. Let's go to Steve Levy in the studio.
Mark, thank you. Arkansas State and Illinois. Mike Alexander is back in punt formation at his goal line. Franklin Payne comes right through to make the block. The redshirt freshman Kendrick Jones recovers for the touch.
Tough act to follow for Illinois this year. It's back here, 6:56 to go in the first half. Ball at the 41. Third and long. The 11th play of the Georgia Tech drive. Suggs almost picked off by cornerback Justin Miller, number 9. The freshman seemingly everywhere on the field in this last couple of plays. Miller actually had a reception and an interception against Louisiana Tech. The first time that's happened since 1964. They're high on that true freshman. 4th and 19. And into punt comes Dan Dyke. Man's back deep on his own 10. This is the 4th punt of the day now for Dyke. Mans calls for the fair catch at the 10. And a late flag. He took a hit. Second time today that we're going to see this same infraction called after that 31-yard punt.
Personal foul on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Tacks on 15 more yards. Mance did his part, but sometimes you just don't get the brakes put on in time. We'll be right back.
ESPN's presentation of college football brought to you by NetZero. Get the access without the excess. Go to netzero.com today. And by Audi. In technology, performance, and design, our goal remains constant. Never follow.
Back at Clemson's Memorial Stadium, Mark Jones along with Bob Davey, Holly Rowe, 10-6, and first down and 10. Willie Simmons fires complete to Hamilton. He's already made one big play, trying to make another out to the 35. One more look at that penalty against Georgia Tech on the punt. And a flag down on this play after Clemson benefited from a 15-yard penalty on the punt a few moments ago. Boy, every time Derek Hamilton touches the ball, there's a buzz in the stands.
blocking the back, above the waist, on the offense, 10 yards, spot of the foul, repeat first down.
Mark, going back to the personal foul on the previous punt, I think this is an awful call. You're going to see Charles Bennett, number 86, right here, blocking Will Heller, number 84, into the returner, Brian Mance. And even if he didn't knock him in, to call that a 15-yard personal foul, I don't think you could have killed a mosquito with that hit right there by Will Heller. So either way, I do not like that call.
Yeah. Barely a glancing blow. This is Hamilton into the boundary. I'd like to use him as a runner out to the 23-yard line. As we approach 6 minutes to play here, remaining in the first half. Conference opener for both Georgia Tech and Clemson. Coming up on the Nivea for Men halftime report, Steve Levy and Trev Alberts in the studio. Michigan State looking for a little respect. The game day gang is in Columbus, Ohio, for that huge Ohio State-Washington State game.
We didn't jinx Michigan State with that respect thing right there, did we? They better quit turning that ball over in the red zone.
Hope not. 2nd and 13. Simmons on the move to Hamilton. Boy, he is so elusive out to the 43-yard line and a first down.
Another picture of Willie Simmons on the run. Anytime you have to defend a mobile quarterback, they come with the play action right here. Off the zone fake, Willie Simmons on the run, no contain. He right now is in a pass run situation. Derek Hamilton does a great job of sitting down in the zone. Georgia Tech is going to have to contain Willie Simmons. He has solved his problem from early in the season, throwing on the run.
Clemson going with 2 tights, 2 wideouts, and a single back. That's Yusuf Kelly and a flag down on the play. Tackle made by Darryl Smith. Middle linebacker, number 51. Kelly took a hit.
Personal foul on the defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, first down.
Boy, that's 33 yards already for Clemson on this drive.
What's obvious, you can read Shan Gailey's lips. He said, I've got it, I'm going to take care of it. It was number 44. And you notice number 44, Tony Hargrave, on the sidelines over there next to Shan Gailey.
Hargrave learning under the tutelage of Greg Gathers, the senior. He's kind of taken Hargrave under his wing a little bit. Certainly didn't teach him that move. First down and 10. Simmons on the roll. And got stuck at the 34-yard line by Kieran Fox. Fox, the certified AKA wild man on that defense, but didn't expect to see Simmons move around like he has been today, Bob Davie.
I didn't either, Mark, but I think that really adds an element to Clemson's offense. And there you see the graphic thrown out of the pocket, but Kieran Fox is trying to talk him out of that with that big hit he just had right there in front of Clemson's bench. 2nd
down and 6. Little bubble screen, incomplete to Jackie Robinson. You know what, Bob? I read your ESPN.com article, Football 101. I saw the zone blitz scheme you had diagrammed on there this week's lesson. Have you done the bubble screen yet? Have you done
this?
That's
a good idea.
I want to see that.
That's a good idea, and I'm really glad someone's reading that .com.
I hit it about 3 times for you, man.
I think you may be the only hit I had on it today. I'm going to have to go back and check.
Bob Davie taking everybody to school on that website, ESPN.com, the Football 101. About 48 different variations of the zone blitz.
Some of those Notre Dame fans saying, I'm not sure that stuff really works.
3rd down and 6. Kelly trying to get to the edge and chopped down at the 33-yard line, about 5 yards short of the first down. Under 4 minutes to play now in the first half. Corey Collins making the stop, the strong safety for Georgia Tech. Kelly redshirted last year. Formerly Keith Kelly. It is 4th down for Clemson from the 33-yard line, and in to attempt the field goal is Aaron Hunt. Jeff Scott, Brad Scott's son, and a former quarterback, is the holder. This one comes up a little bit short. Now 5 of 7 on the year. So Georgia Tech will have the ball. When we come back, yes, it is a game of inches. A panoramic view here of Clemson, South Carolina. A look at the watchtower, 10-6 here on the banks of the Seneca River. Clemson, South Carolina. Nice to see that the rain has held up just a little bit here, but the sky is still rather ominous. They're expecting heavy storms at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, just after our flights take off. Hopefully.
I'll tell you one thing, Kmart and Target, they sold them some orange ponchos this morning. I promise you that. There are no orange ponchos left in Clemson, South Carolina.
They're making some bucks. First down and 10 for Georgia Tech. Suggs standing in the pocket, fires incomplete. Let's go back to the studio with Steve Levy.
Mark, thank you. We showed you earlier Michigan State really struggling near Cal's goal line. How about around their own goal line? Smoker's back to pass. Watch, the flag flies as he releases the ball. Holding is called on William Whitaker. Holding in the end zone. It's a safety, and Wisconsin's finally taking the lead.
All right, Steven, back here. Second down and 10. Suggs, 5 for 12, total of 44 yards. Looking into the eyes of Bryant McNeil on the defense. Suggs on the move, brought down by his shoestrings at the 35-yard line by McNeil. Now, Bob, let's talk about Suggs. A Tennessee transfer, played a little bit of time there. You've coached transfers before. What goes into the mind of transfers when they come to the new school? Do you sense a little more urgency for them to play well?
No question. Transfers want immediate gratification, and they really should, because the clock's been ticking on them. What I'm impressed with is a guy like Willie Simmons, who stays at at Clemson, waits his dues, and then plays as a fourth-year junior.
Yeah, he waited about 2.5 years before finally becoming the man. Right now, it's his counterpart on offense. Suggs on 3rd and 7, sacked back at the 31-yard line by a host of tacklers led by Bryant McNeil. That's the third 3 and out.
You're going to see John Lever, the defensive coordinator, again, decides to play maximum coverage, 4-man rush. Bryant McNeil, 91, who they think the upside is tremendous, sacks the quarterback. You know, Bryant McNeil had a huge fumble return for a touchdown in the Georgia game. Actually runs a 4.65 40 at 6'5", 240 pounds.
Scary. Van Dyke punting. Hamilton back to the 16. Hamilton still on his feet. One man to beat. Hamilton swerving. Tackled in the 6.
Mark, you're going to see missed tackles. Number 1, Albert Poiree. Another mistake in the kicking game. That could have been a no-game play for Clemson. But give Derrick and Hamilton credit. He made them miss. He shows his speed down the sidelines. He's probably getting a little bit tired. 79 yards on that punt return.
In addition to that 77-yard touchdown run earlier. First down and goal for the Tigers. Special teams, the bane of Georgia Tech so far in this game. Had a miscue on a punt a couple series ago, and now this. First and goal for Clemson. Backs out of the eye. Simmons wisely throws that one away. Nobody open. The second down and goal.
It's amazing how you set the storyline for this game, being Georgia Tech's nickel defense against Clemson's spread offense. But what jumps up and gets you if you're Georgia Tech is the kicking game. The things that maybe you took for granted going in.
Got a fumble on an extra point. That's why it's 10-6 and not 10-7. Second down and goal. Simmons through the hands of Youngblood. It'll be 3rd down and goal. A little bit too high even for a tall target at 6'5".
And Clemson had the matchup they wanted. Jeremy Myers down inside the red zone, locked up on Kevin Youngblood. The ball, as you mentioned, Mark, was simply overthrown.
3rd down now. Goal to go.
You have to think that Clemson is going to move Willie Simmons again out of this pocket right here.
That's Robinson in motion. Simmons going to try and score. And he's stopped at about the 2-yard line. So after 3 tries right in the shadows of the goalposts, the Yellow Jacket defense holds.
One of the problems with the spread offense, though, inside the red zone, it's difficult to all of a sudden put 2 backs back there and run the football. You see Clemson right there with really 3 straight passing attempts inside the red zone.
4th and goal when we come back. 4th and goal for Clemson. Harrell and Kelly lining up out of the eye. Robinson split to the bottom of your screen.
Georgia Tech called timeout. Shan Gailey gave Tommy Bowden too much time to think about it. He decides to go for it.
The waggle, Simmons. A chest pass, touchdown. Bobby Williamson. Simmons looked like Houdini.
Once again, it's not the X and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. Tommy Bowden, this isn't exactly how he drew that up. I don't think they've spent a lot of time on that little chest pass. But what a great play by Willie Simmons. And I think Tommy kind of likes that thing now. He's going to keep that one in the playbook.
Mark it down. Bobby Williamson, the tight end, making a push for that starting job, perhaps, pushing Ben Hall. And Clemson now up 17-6. Willie Simmons said that he was going to bring a new style of football at the quarterbacking position to Clemson, and he did.
Mark, go back to the timeout called by Georgia Tech. Clemson was going to send their field goal team on the field. He gave him too much time. Tommy Bowden gave in with the crowd and decided to go for it. But I think it was a good decision because 13-6 with the field goal is really not a whole lot different than 10-6.
Pretty courageous call to roll your quarterback naked out there like that, huh?
I think it's a great call. And Clemson in 2 backs, fakes the run, comes out on the naked bootleg. Once again, he creates this on his own. And you gotta like Bobby Williamson jumping up. When you're a tight end, you don't get many balls. Even though it's a 2-yard touchdown reception, you'll take it to the bank every time.
No doubt. And the reaction of Simmons. Georgia Tech was the school that Simmons almost signed with coming out of high school.
And it was interesting. Tommy Bowden told us yesterday that Simmons was his first high-profile recruit, first blue-chip recruit, and he got him out of the state of Florida, close to Florida State's campus.
Yeah, to Quincy, Florida. Now look at what he's done on the move today. 4 for 4, Bob.
It's great to see coaches smile and have some fun on the sidelines. As hard as you work at this, it really is good to see some smiles down there.
Willie Simmons felt coming into this game he had something to prove. A lot of these players know each other.
Mark, who's that on the cell phone?
Who's he calling?
Somebody's calling home right now. He's explaining. He wants the play-by-play job in the booth.
How'd it look? How'd it look? Quick kick down to the 35. Out to the 40. Let's go back to Steve in the studio. Wow, Steve.
Mark, thanks very much. Coming up on the Nivea for Men halftime report, Trev Alberts will join me. We'll look at Cal and Michigan State. The Spartans, all sorts of turnover problems in the first half. Miami had a healthy lead early against Temple. Not anymore. And we'll hear from the guys of game day. That's all coming up at halftime. We'll see you in a couple seconds.
All right, Steve. Simmons taking some 5 on the sidelines.
Maybe we better send Holly down to check out who that phone call was made to with that cell phone. That may be the story of the first half.
Yeah. Can't sleep on Georgia Tech, though. Traditionally, this is a very close series. Remember, plenty of football to go. This is Jonathan Smith. Brought down right near the line of scrimmage at the 33 by number 45, John Leak. .18 seconds to go now in the first half. Georgia Tech coming in undefeated at 2-0. Trying to stay that way, and this is their first real tough test of the season. They're going to take it into the locker room at 17-6. That's the end of the first half of play. Chan Gailey's crew with the job to do in the second half. Derek Hamilton with 245 all-purpose yards in the first half. More, but right now back to the studio.
Mark, Bob, thank you. See you for second half action.